to pretend to befriend you when no one else is watching. If only you could see through these mirrors that surround you. My fertile garden of lies, growing to placate you, sprouting through the cracked earth. You might realize, I know that you'll forgive me for this hell I put you through. And I have another waiting just for you. I know that you'll forgive me for this hell I put you through.
Hello everybody, I am Hoardergamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope you're all doing well. Today we got comics, we got toys, we got some reviews, also a little bit of video gaming news, some exciting stuff too, that actually goes from comics to video games to even toys. So, without any further ado, let us do our first review, which is Star Signs #1, Image Comics by Saladin Ahmed, and, one second here, this is a name I do not know that well, Megan Levins. Megan Levins. The idea of Star Signs is that the star constellations fall from the sky. And I don't recall anything in the issue about like calamity from like them landing on people or anything. I think it's more like the idea is like the stars went out. They might have actually fallen specifically, but now 12 people, one for each of the signs of the astrological chart, have superpowers. And based on the beginning of the book, it seems that 2 of them may be evil. They had a very sinister vibe going on. And the lead character right there, who is called Taurus by one of these people, you see the young lady with the blonde hair is possibly one of the 2 evil people in the very beginning of the book. The book doesn't spell everything out for you. All you know is this young lady who ends up... I don't know if they're going to go Taurus is like the name throughout the book for her or what. Her name is mentioned, I think, like once. I can tell you that she loves David Bowie. There's a great scene where she says, you know, hey, Alexa, play Bowie. And, you know, Bowie is played. And, like, she has a power. She can stop time. But I don't think this will be, like, out of this world with Evie. I don't think there'll be an Uncle Beano in this story. So, sad to say. But no, Star Signs is really cool, and it's an interesting concept. And Saladin Ahmed did excellent job on... God, I want to say that they worked on Miles Morales. I know they've worked... so I think some of the earliest work on Miss Marvel. But yeah, Star Signs is good. I liked issue 1 quite a bit. I'm interested to see where it goes. It's got kind of like a cliffhanger ending. And the next book we'll be reviewing later on tonight, Shazam #1, that's got a WTF ending. There are hints as to what could be going on there. But yeah, we'll get into that later. But yeah, I think Star Signs is really good. It's a strong first issue, and I'm interested to see where they go with the concept. Is the lady next to the main character there? Is she evil? Is the man who looked a little bit older than her evil as well? We don't know for sure, but you know how you get that vibe, in a movie or TV show or even a comic book. I bet they're bad guys. I bet they're bad guys, and that's just the vibe I got from that young blonde lady right there, and the slightly older gentleman that wanted to watch the stars fall or go out forever, I think is what he says. Just doesn't seem like a vibe of a good character, like someone that's not evil or has some frightening agenda. But yeah, Star Signs #1. Let me just move this picture here. That's our first review. And yeah, I think as a premiere issue, very good. And like I said, I like the concept. It's an interesting enough concept where it's something that hasn't been done to death, and that makes it exciting. And the writing is good, and the art is very good too. Very colorful, very vibrant throughout the entire book. Okay, everybody. Now we're going to talk about video gaming. And I feel like a broken record because we keep talking about certain games, but they're games I'm really looking forward to. I'm not talking about them and covering them just because they're popular. I mean, earlier in my streaming career, I played nothing but Disney Infinity and Skylanders. So I can tell you that it wasn't about playing the most popular games all the time. Anyway, so this week there's been a lot of noise, a lot of upset people. I guess you could say the undead elephant in the room with pointy, sharp teeth, Redfall. Everyone has opinions, and they're mostly cruel, some accurate. I've now played over 10 hours of Redfall. A lot of it I played with Johnny Rocker, Cute Little Chaos Kitty, and Crazy Ike. And I like what I've played. We have had many bugs. We have lost connection, I want to say, maybe 4 to 5 times in the last 2 days. We had a firewall issue that Cute Little Chaos Kitty had to work on. Let's see here. Sometimes vampires will just freeze. I think it's actually the game design, and it's a little questionable. When you're playing the game and start off a new character, it's like the enemies in the world levels with you. So, the beginning of the game is real slow. And, like, you'll walk through a huge swath of the open world, and there'll be, like, nothing there. The enemies are basically 2 types, vampires and cultists, that believe that, like, the vampires are gods, and the vampires seem to believe that themselves. And as you're playing the game, a story is basically unfolding, and it's all about, like, scientific experimentation. A company that very much sounds like Theranos called Avum. So that was interesting. It's like they definitely took concepts from real life and just went nuts with them. And it's this Massachusetts town where basically the sun has been blocked out. It's like there's, I think, like a massive, like, supernatural filter that's stopping UV light from coming to the earth. So they can get away with their concept of making it look like daylight and nighttime, just a black hole sun, basically. At one point, it's actually called that, just like the Soundgarden song. By the way, Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger. Highly recommend that album. It's probably my favorite by them. Anyway. Yeah, a lot of bugs, a lot of glitches, which is a shame because I think if it had more time, that it could be almost like a supernatural or vampire version of Division 2. Because you have a open world, you get to safe houses, okay? There are missions at the safe houses, and then you fight a vampire underboss, which is like a mini boss. And then there's also the idea that there's actual like vampire gods. And that once you get through all like an entire area of this city, then you'll basically unveil where that vampire god is, and then you'll fight them. So we haven't gotten that far yet, though. Let's see. Another problem. The early weapons are not fun to use. As I tried to explain to my friend, actually right there, Mike right there in chat, as I tried to explain, it's like in a game with cars where you're unlocking cars and sometimes the handling and steering and everything isn't quite as good as it is on like the sports cars. It's like that here with the weapons. The superior weapons and the unrivaled weapons, like the purple and orange color respectively, they feel really good. And they have cool features and they feel powerful, especially the unrivaled weapons. I got an unrivaled pistol and an unrivaled shotgun, and the shotgun's insane. You can actually fire it as you're loading it, and it loads quite a few shots. It's this crazy looking thing, like a carousel shotgun. But until you get those weapons, it doesn't feel that great. I think you kind of have to, especially in console, mess with the control to make it so it feels better with like aiming and everything. Because I always felt like it was a little bit off. Now, there is, luckily, aim assist on console. Believe it or not, I think it is also on PC. But it is on console. And on a console game, I'm going to use it. Usually it's on a console game because they feel you don't have the fine aim control you would with a mouse and keyboard. So, isn't almost every game these days Star Wars Dead Island 2 and so on with glitches and everything? Yes, but I think people are really hurt because it's arcane. I mean, Dishonored and the game they put out with reversing. Well, now, God, it's not really reversing time. It's everything. It's like a Groundhog Day game, which of course I don't remember the name of now, but it's very good. Yeah, I will say certain decisions, like the way they do cinemas and everything, does not feel like a full budget game. That's true. And the art design is not as astounding as any of the Dishonoreds, or even more so, Bulletproof. It's not called Bulletproof, is it? I don't have it right here, I don't think. Anyway, that game had a really cool 1960s Art Deco design, and that was really nice. But I do like Redfall. It's not a complete, like, train wreck. It's not even close to a train wreck from what I've seen, especially once some patches come in and fix the drops. And, like, frame rate actually seems solid. But by drops, I mean dropping you as a player or dropping your team, as in disconnects. It really feels like it was meant to be a game as a service, and it needed more time. And one thing it immediately brought to mind for me was it's a very good idea that Rocksteady decided to push back Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League till February, because I could not imagine Redfall coming back from coming out last year, like 7-8 months ago. I have no idea how that game would have been playable. Like, I don't know, man. That would have been something. That would have been something. See, at this point, I think a number of patches can really fix Redfall. And I think there's could be like some new stuff that comes to the game that gets people excited. I definitely felt the passion in like things like set design. There's a cave you find that looks like something out of the movie Lost Boys. And they have this cool procedurally generated type of dungeon. I forget what it's called. I think like a vampire nest. It's a vampire nest, and those are pretty neat actually. They could come up with some different objectives. Like when you finish it, you have to escape and find the exit, or you lose all your experience. You still get the loot that you find, but you basically lose your experience, and it's a lot of experience you don't want to lose. But like the actual design of that level, very different. And we played through like 4 or 5 of those this morning, and yeah, they were quite unique. We only saw like 1 or 2 pieces used more than once. They have a really neat feel to them. You have to go at the end. There's a big giant heart, and you have to destroy these little like mounds that it's feeding off of. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed that. It's also, I will say this, the game is tuned very, very difficult. Redfall on normal difficulty was hilarious for me in single player, because I would come across 2 vampires and then I would come out of that battle dead. Whereas we had a team of 4, we were taking out vampires and cultists left and right. But man, single player, they're fast. Your gun has to reload or something, and they're attacking you as that's happening. You're trying to get away from them. Now, I was playing Jacob. He can go invisible for almost 30 seconds once you upgrade him. So that was very helpful. Plus, I also sped up how often you can do that. That's kind of a tree I'm focusing on. And you can actually respec your points. And I don't know if it's limited. You might be able to constantly do that. They have like 4 or 5 trees based on different abilities that they have. And things like extra health and stuff like that. But yeah, I played Jacob because he very much looked like the goth character. And that's the character I wanted in the fantasy. There's also a lady that's kind of like, feels like the magic user or the sorcerer. She seems really cool too. I wanted to try her as well. Let's see, I'm trying to think who has... There's a character that is a robot named Bribone. And that basically is a... How do I say this? A means to rile up vampires and cultists and to disorient them while you shoot them. But yeah, the game is not terrible by any means, and I think it could actually come back. I think with Arcane, I think with Microsoft behind it, I think the game can come back. I have played much worse games than this. And I had more fun with this than pretty much any of the asymmetrical horror games that have come out recently. Like, I do like Evil Dead, but I don't know why they decided to make the single-player missions so ridiculously difficult. There's only like 5 of them, and they're insanely difficult. And if you die, you restart the entire mission. It just wasn't fun. Which is a shame, because the actual crux of the game, the actual, like, going and playing with a team, getting in the car, fighting the Deadites, that's great. In fact, I would say, and I've said this before, that Evil Dead probably has some of the best hand-to-hand combat I've seen in any of the asymmetrical horror games. You actually feel like you're kicking ass in this game, you know? It's really good. I would also say that Ghostbuster Spirits Unleashed, when I can find people to play with, is a very cool game and very true to Ghostbusters. And I'm hoping that, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to be good too, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Now, of course, we have Diablo news, because I don't know how we could not have a week, right, without any Diablo news. I mean, how's that possible? You know, so Diablo 4 is... Uh-oh. She's back again, isn't she? She's up in the corner there, right? Hail Lilith! Hail, Mother of Sanctuary. Hail the awesome person that's giving us the server slam next week. Oh, hail Lilith, where would we be without Sanctu? Oh, okay, she's gone. She's gone. Whew. Whew. Anyway, the server slam is going to be starting next Friday, and it's Friday and Saturday. I believe it starts at like 2 p.m. Central, but then it ends on 2 p.m. Central on Sunday. So it's actually a full 48 hours, even though it starts a little later than some people might be expecting. Now, my plan right now is to play as either a barbarian or a sorcerer, because I do not want to get a bad taste in my mouth from playing druid. While they made some really cool changes to druid and other classes based on feedback after the beta, there's a huge part of the story, apparently in Act 2, where the druid goes to another region, Skazglan, and gets like a new feature set or ability set. And that kind of changes things, apparently. So I'm going to wait to play the druid until launch. Another possibility is I'll do a rogue. I played a bit of a rogue during the beta, and that was good. It's a very action-intensive, visually, stimulating character to gameplay as. It's really cool. I liked it. But yeah, I haven't played any of the barbarian. None of it. And I don't think I tried any of the sorcerer. So those two things sound really interesting to me. I hear people love the sorcerer. I obviously love the insane snake spell that like coils around your enemy. That looks amazing. Also, when it comes to the necromancer, the blood rolling pin. I did necromancer in one of the previous betas, so I want to hold back on him. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the server slam. If you get to Ashava and you beat Ashava at level 20, you get a really cool horse trophy that you can put on your horse. It's basically you mount it onto the side, and it's a claw from Ashava, but it's not gory. It's like gilded in gold, so it looks like it's like ornamental. It looks really neat, and I believe that's exclusive to beating Ashava at level 20 in the server slam. Plus, you're able to get the wolf puppy, everybody. The adorable wolf puppy backpack that's animated. You have another chance to get that. And I'm guessing now that would be at level 20, I'm guessing. Because I think you had to be at 20 last time, too. It's a little confusing just because the original beta, you got to go up to level 25. Here it's going to be level 20. I'm also a little worried that how difficult Ashava will be at level 20. I tried Ashava at level 18 in the first beta, and brutal is the word. It was brutal. So only 2 or 3 levels higher, I don't know what it's going to be like. Hopefully a little less brutal. That'd be nice. And finally, another game that Mike actually brought up, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I am loving the game. I think it's great. I think people are freaking out and don't understand what AAA games are nowadays. For better or worse, the game comes out and it comes out flaming hot, like a Cheeto. It hasn't had time to cool off. You know, it was a chocolate chip cookie, you'd probably burn yourself. Roof of your mouth, you know, type of thing. And that's just how AAA games are going to be. Unless people, you know, basically don't buy them. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. People are still going to buy a Star Wars game at launch. People are going to buy, you know, these games that are hyped and things like that. I will say, for my own, the way I do it, if I pre-order physically. like putting $5 down on a game. I don't order or pre-order like online where you're paying the whole amount. I think that's kind of, I don't want to say foolish, but I don't understand why you would give someone that all that money for 6 months before a game comes out, or even 4 months before a game comes out, especially because so many things can change, right? You can have a favorable preview on a game, and then like 4 months later, a decision's made in the development of it, and then the game comes out and it's bad. Or the game has to come out for fiscal reasons, right? Around a certain time. My thought is that Redfall fell into that category. I think it might have had to do with being out like during the fiscal before the fiscal cutoff of the year. You know, a shareholder type of situation. So, but no, I think Jedi Survivor is this massive, expansive Star Wars world. And yeah, I think the first patch for PS5 made the frame rate, I think, quite a bit better, at least on 60 FPS. There's still screen tearing. Hard to say if it's as much as there was before because I'm in different areas. So yeah, it's hard for me to gauge that. I also don't have anything cool like the Digital Foundry, you know, like a device or anything to gauge all this and like to measure it. So really challenging there to be like, okay, it's this much less screen tearing or, you know, things like that. But I think with a few more patches, it's going to be even better. One feature I would love in the game, and I think it's really odd unless I just haven't figured out how to do it. You use BD1 as like a pair of binoculars, and you go and you're able to see around the planet you're on and like what the little objectives are and stuff like that. I wish you could do that, mark it, and then have it show up as you're running around the world with like your lightsaber and stuff. So you don't have to go back to BD1 all the time or your map. To me, it would make sense to have like the little icon and like a countdown saying you're getting closer to it. So that I would like. And again, it could be in the game. I just have not figured out in the settings how to make it happen. Usually the wording's a little more evident if something like that is available. But yeah, I really like it. The story has been fascinating because it's High Republic. And High Republic, for the most part, has just been comic books and novels. And I basically didn't know where to begin. So I know almost nothing about it. So it's a really cool and interesting time in the Star Wars universe for me to learn about. So that's exciting. The optional bosses are exciting. Bounty hunters hunting Kel. Yeah, I really do like it a lot. And it is truly massive. There's a planet Kobo. And I want to say it might take 12 to 15 hours, possibly even longer, to 100% just that planet. Now, I do believe that planet is much, much larger than any of the other ones you go to. But there's so many different environments and regions of the planet. And even enemy types and stuff like that. It's really, really well done. And it's a lot of what was in the first Star Wars game, Star Wars a Jedi Fallen Order. But now you actually have fast travel, which is a godsend in this game. In a, I guess you call it like a Metroidvania, it's really cool. This game, by the way, takes the inspiration of Metroidvania to a new level. There's actually a scene that mimics something in Super Metroid with these cute little alien characters hopping up walls, and then Samus has to follow them. Well, Kel experiences that in this game. And I was like, that is wild. I was really surprised by that. I will say, though, the wall jumping is much easier. Much easier than it was in Super Metroid. The timing on that was crazy. Now, I don't know if that's because of the remapping with the digital versions that are on the Switch or not. I cannot recall to my being much, much younger, a much, much younger hoarder, and playing it on Super Nintendo. So. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. And yeah, Jedi Survivor is... It's a shame that it didn't come out in a more pristine way. And I have heard the PC version is very rough. I know a patch came out for that on Monday. Hopefully that fixed a number of things. But most people that are playing it and enjoying themselves that I know of are playing it on console. So, just one thing to keep in mind. If you have the chance to play it on PC or console, you might want to go with the console version. Real quick gaming news. Rogue. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. Storm is coming to Midnight Suns as DLC on May 11th, which is also the same date that the game is coming out for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. However, some disappointing news, the Switch version of Midnight Suns has been canceled. Now, I don't think they actually went into detail as to why, but yeah, apparently the Switch version has been canceled. My guess is they looked at sales. Sadly, a lot of people, I guess, didn't jump into this game because it's a strategy game. And even with Marvel, even if it had DC, that is a difficult thing to make happen. And I think the game is great. But I got to be honest with you, encounters that would be like our half hour, 45 minutes each, it just kind of wears on me. I do want to finish it. I don't know for sure if I'll stream it, but it is a very good game. Understand that I'm not someone that is really into strategy games, and I think it's really good. But yeah, I wish they could have found some way to streamline it just a little bit more. The length of the matches, like what they could have done is not have so many waves of enemies. That would have been an easy way to do it. Then matches would have been 10 to 15 minutes. You know, yes, the game at that point probably wouldn't be like 40 or 50 hours. It might be like 20 or 25, but I think it would have been better for it. Has anyone played Midnight Suns? What do you think? Because a lot of times it's like you're fighting 5 or 6 enemies, you defeat 2 or 3 in a round, 2 or 3 more are coming. You do that again, 2 or 3 more are coming. It's very much like what XCOM did, but I feel that here it does not work as well, of constantly having more and more enemies coming. But yeah, I did like it, and I'm guessing they just looked at how sales would be on the Switch, how they've been on the previous consoles, and I think they probably cut their losses. It probably also had an issue with running on the Switch. Switch came out in 2017. You know. And when it came out, it wasn't as powerful as Xbox One or PS4 even. So it's a challenge to work with. Honestly, I'm surprised it wasn't the idea that you would be streaming the game, because I don't know how exactly it would play like natively on the Switch. I also think I'd have to double check this. I think that Hogwarts Legacy, I think that was canceled on Switch as well. I got to double check that though. I thought there were 2 big cancellations in like the last week. I know that also comes out on PS4 and Xbox One on Friday. Of course, Legend of Zelda, not this Friday, but next Friday. One of the biggest games of the year, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm very much looking forward to it. Honestly, I'm not planning to stream it. I'm planning just to play it handheld and enjoy that experience. But yeah, we are done talking about games. Now it is time for us to toy around. And what do we have first? Oh my God. Look at that bulkhead. Okay, everybody. This is Nemesis. A Decepticon. Not just a Decepticon, a Titan level Decepticon. A 24-inch tall Decepticon. Look at the coloring. Look at the detail. Look at the version of the Decepticon symbol as the head. They're kind of similar visually, the head at least, to Tarn, a Decepticon that came out recently. Also really nice design. But look at this. It's insane. I think it looks phenomenal, by the way. And this is actually going to be in retail. This is not just a HasLab exclusive, which I thought it was going to be, based on its size, its price, and everything. This will set you back $199.99. Just like I believe it was the Fortress Maximus that came out recently. I think that's the one that came out. So it's the Titan. It's gigantic. A lot of plastic in here. That's why it's so much. And you're wondering, wait, how does that figure into Transformers? I don't really recall Nemesis. Oh, you don't? What about the Decepticon ship? So yeah, this is the gigantic Decepticon ship. Basically the Decepticon version of the Ark. And it turns into the robot Nemesis. Now, I don't believe at any point in the cartoon that their ship turned into a robot, but I think this is awesome. This may be in the comic book. That I don't know. A lot of the Transformer toys recently, including Tarn, are comic book based. Yeah, but yeah, this huge, gigantic ship, and it has mini cons that attach to the ports that are on the ship, and then this gigantic 24-inch robot that it turns into. More than meets the eye. Okay, let me remove these here. I will send these back to Cybertron. Next up, we have Old School Thor and the Destroyer. Thor versus Marvel's Destroyer. Look at that. It's a box set. I believe you get multiple hands for the Destroyer, possibly a second head. But yeah, I think it looks really cool. And I'm not even a huge fan of Old School Thor visually. I really like the more recent look, like during the Jason Aaron run, during the Donny Cates run, but it still looks really cool. And if you're like a Thor fan, I think this is a sight for Thor eyes. And yes, that is a tired joke I use constantly. And I don't know if I'll stop. Okay. Thor versus Marvel's Destroyer. And BioShock Mr. Freeze. It's actually the Fight the Frozen Mr. Freeze. But look at this. If you are a fan of Mr. Freeze or BioShock, I think you're going to love this. It's got a whole deep sea diver look. It very much looks like a Big Daddy from BioShock. And I have to say, sadly, this entire line of Fight the Frozen from McFarlane Toys, this is the only figure I like. I didn't like the Batman, I didn't like the Batgirl, and I didn't like the Robin. But this Mr. Freeze is pretty awesome. It's I love how they did the eyes. It's intense. But yeah, it's one of the 7-inch Page Puncher figures. So it's actually going to come with, I believe, issue 1 of Fight the Frozen comic book. Okay, everybody, we are done toying around for today. We'll toy around again next week. But yeah, to me, that Nemesis from Transformers, I absolutely love the design. I think it looks great. I think that's a beautiful centerpiece too, at 24 inches tall. This ship's got to be like that freaking big, I'm guessing. Based on that height, I don't see how you could turn it into something smaller than like that. But yeah, that's probably the thing I'm most excited for. Don't know for sure I'm gonna get that. It's a bit pricey, but it's beautiful. Okay, everybody. DC is doing something very cool in celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Okay, there's a number of really cool books. City Boy, The Vigil, and Spirit World. There might be a fourth. I know those three for sure. But Spirit World is really a fascinating and unique book. In fact, it's so unique, I needed to take an actual screenshot to explain it. Because it's like, even just knowing about it isn't enough to be like, oh, I know exactly what that means. You know, because like when you try to say something, you want to say it in your own words, right? I had no idea how to say this. So, from the pages of Lazarus Planet, Dark Fate, a new Chinese hero emerges who's able to travel to and from the spirit world, the realm of the dead and that of the living. Their name is Xanthi, and their superpower is being able to burn items folded from Joss paper and immediately turn them into real objects, which is based on the East Asian practice of burning Joss paper at graveyards in order to send resources to ancestors in the spirit world. And one of the things she makes first, with the Joss paper, is a giant freaking sword. And in this book, it's John Constantine, Xanthi, and I believe it's Batgirl fighting Chinese hopping vampires, Yangshi. So, yeah, I thought that sounded awesome. And it sounds like a really interesting book. And with a power that I can't think of anyone that has a similar power set. So, I thought this was really cool. I myself, I'm even more excited for The Vigil, which is by V. Ram, and it's a new superhero team. And it sounds so cool. There was a preview of them with Red Hood that was part of the Lazarus Planet series of books. It might have been Lazarus Planet Dark Fate, actually. Because I know I read a little bit of Spirit World, or a little bit about Xanthi in there, and City Boy. So that might have been the book, actually. But yeah, The Vigil is the one I'm really looking forward to. Ram V has done excellent work with Venom, excellent work with Batman Detective Comics. Just really good stuff. So this comes out next week. I'm not sure exactly when City Boy comes out, but I know The Vigil #1. I sound like I said The Visual. The Vigil #1, that comes out May 16th. Okay, everybody who loves a #1. Jeremy Adams is taking over Green Lantern. Okay? And this Green Lantern is basically sequestered on Earth. Because Earth is under quarantine after the events of Lazarus Planet. Hey Doom, how you doing? So this is a great jumping on point. Hal Jordan on Earth, can't leave. While watching Earth, Hal Jordan upset with Sinestro, who happens to believe to currently be on Earth. So this should be a really good book. It's an issue 1, so a great jumping on point. So yeah, people ask me like issue 1s, each week, what I recommend. This definitely. Jeremy Adams, great writer. And I think he'll do really good with Green Lantern. No, that's okay, Doom. I appreciate you popping in. Thank you. But yeah, Green Lantern #1, and I absolutely love the cover. It's a beautiful looking cover. So I believe that's a variant. I believe that's the variant cover. There's like 2 or 3 for this one. Okay. Now, everybody. That was a huge heavy hitter for DC next week. Here's Marvel's. So, a preface to this information. Zeb Wells, the writer of Amazing Spider-Man, was told by his editors, I don't know if I would recommend going to... they were like talking to him and they're like, you know, Zeb, I don't know if I'd recommend you going to any of the comic conventions this year after this book comes out. Apparently something so insane and polarizing is going to happen in Amazing Spider-Man 25 that's going to upset a lot of the fan base, so much so that one of the main editors at Marvel was like, I don't know if you should go to conventions this year. So, this should be exciting. This has been a very cool and unique run. Everything I thought was going to happen, the villain I thought was going to kind of show up, no. Someone way from the background, becoming very much more powerful, very much more of a threat. Really interestingly well done. Yeah, it's one of those things where like, oh, I guess this is going to happen. And you're totally wrong. I'll be shocked if anyone was like, oh, it's that person. They're back. They have new powers. Yeah, it's them. I'm so smart. I doubt anyone had that attitude because I don't think anyone knew what was going on with, oh God, what was it? Issue 20, 21, 22 or so? Okay. But yeah, 25 is going to upset some people. It'll be interesting to see how many. I don't know, but I've enjoyed this run and I like Zeb Wells. Obviously, I'm picking it up. I'm up to date on Amazing Spider-Man, except for, I think, the last issue. So I'll read that by the time this comes out next week. But yeah, this is a larger issue. I believe it's $5.99. But this is one of the covers. And I love that it had that question, whatever happened to Mary Jane? Because Mary Jane has been very interesting in this run. There's a lot of questions about like her boyfriend / husband, kids, all sorts of interesting questions. And I'm sure we'll have interesting and maybe very upsetting answers next week. Okay. Let me send this back to the Daily Bugle. And now, everybody, now I ask that if you have any ideas, any concepts, toy lines, or comics you want me to talk about, even video games, put those into comments or, put them in a chat. Let me know. I'll be doing this show again next Wednesday. So, only a week away, and there's more of me. By the way, I got a haircut recently, and the top of my head is all like soft now, like a bunny rabbit's tail. It's wild. Anyway, we have our final review for today. Shazam! Number 1. That pause there was because I was going to do a Simpsons thing from Gomer Pyle, but I decided not to. So, it just seemed like more of a dramatic pause, I guess. Okay. So, one thing I definitely want to bring up, because not everyone knows this about Shazam, it's not just a magic word. It's not just what Billy Batson was using as his superhero moniker for a very long time, besides using the Captain Marvel. It's an anagram. Shazam. The wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, the speed of Mercury. If you take each of those gods' names and take the first letter, it is Shazam. And that's something I know that I knew, but I forgot until rereading it in here. But I figured it's something not everyone that's going to watch this video would know, and I was like, that is wild. That makes so much more sense as to Shazam. Anyway, this is a phenomenal jumping on point. Oh my god. It's basically like summing up the entirety of Billy Batson getting his powers. There's a sinister enemies in the background that want the gods to be seen as revered again. And it's hard for me to tell who they are. I'm gonna guess that one of them is Zeus, just based on the look. But yeah, there might be an evil worm at work in this story arc too. And if you needed any other reason to get this, this is on the hot streak of Mark Waid and Dan Mora. If you're reading World's Finest, which is one of the best DC books currently, I highly recommend this. If you had any interest in Shazam, I recommend it. There's a great opening with a T-Rex, and then you find out it's extraterrestrial and they can talk. And without all the details, the parents of this T-Rex invite Shazam to have some tea. Actually drinking tea with a family of T-Rexes. It's a lot of fun. It's got some really cool undertones as to where we're headed. And Mary Marvel actually has new powers now because of Lazarus Planet. Also because of Lazarus Planet, his foster family, the kids that are around the same age as Billy Batson, they all lost their powers. And the saddest thing about that is Freddie Freeman, as you might know, is disabled again and can't become a, Captain Marvel type Shazam character like he used to. So that's pretty intense. And you get how that weighs heavily on Billy. And Billy talks about, what's really interesting is the reason he likes to be Billy is because these elements of the gods that he mentions in the magic word Shazam, he just wants those out of his life for a few hours a day. He talks about how those kind of interrupt him being a kid, which I thought was really interesting. And I was like, okay, Mark Waid, that's a really cool take on it. But yeah, Shazam #1 is really good. Especially, like I said, if you have an interest in the character, plus there's a WTF ending, and there are clues as to what could be going on there, but it's not spelled out. And it would be detrimental to both Shazam and Billy. Although in this book, it does sound like he's going back to the name Captain Marvel, I think, again. But I'm not sure. But yeah, we had 2 reviews today, and both books are really good. Both Shazam 1 and Star Signs #1 were really good. And well done, good artwork, great writing. And Star Signs specifically, basically a very interesting power set, or at least idea for where the power sets come from. Other characters have stopped time before, but not because, they are somehow maybe the embodiment of astrological signs. That's, I think, a little different there. Okay, everybody, let me just remove this picture here. Again, I am Hoardergamer. I want to thank Doom Squad Gaming as well as Doomkiller HD for letting me borrow the channel again. Thank you. And you can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hoardergamer. I'm currently doing Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'll be heading back to Diablo 2 very soon. And you better believe I'll be doing a lot of the Diablo 4 server slam next weekend. very much looking forward to that. So definitely check that out. And yeah, I want to thank you all for watching. You know, whether you're watching this live or, you know, at your leisure, as I like to say, thank you. You know, and if you enjoy, feel free to follow. It's not something I harp on or subscribe, you know, feel free to do that. But thank you very much for watching and have a good one. Bye-bye.